And please vote no on Prop 26, which would undo all of this by creating a new 2/3 rule for fees and basically blowing a $1 billion hole in the state budget on top of the current deficit. So please vote yes on 24 and 25, vote no on 26, and tell your friends and family that. And if you want information about those ballot initiatives, go to the HHS Network website, hhsnetworkca.org. And also, please, on that homepage for the HHS Network website, put in your name and your email to get on our email list, because that way, anytime there's decisions or alerts about what do we do to get ready for next year's budget, you'll get it. And you'll be part of this big statewide network with hundreds of organizations around the state. So I lost my train of thought. So the ballot initiatives, so best case scenario for November 3rd is we pass 24 and 25 and we defeat 26, and we have a governor who understands and believes in the role of health and human services in keeping California strong. So we have to plan for that scenario. Worst case scenario, Prop 25 doesn't pass. We don't have a majority vote budget. We still have to get 2/3 to pass a budget next year. Prop 26 does pass, blows another $1 billion hole in the budget. The deficit is that much bigger, and we have a governor who's sworn to cut health and human services. That would be a very, very ugly scenario. The period between January 10th and May is unknowable. All I can tell you is that will be a very busy period, and we want to work with the consumer advisory panels to do the work that needs to be done, to do the public forums, to do the media advocacy, to highlight the stories of people who never thought that they themselves would need X program or Y program. You know, those are some of the best stories, the stories that, remember, that older, richer, whiter electorate can relate to. You know, I made $200,000 a year as a mortgage broker. I never imagined that I'd be here in line at a food bank, and then my life changed in an instant. I think between January and May, those are the stories that need to be in the newspaper all the time. So please sign up for the HHS Network on our website. Again, that's hhsnetworkca.org. And please reach out to us and let us know how we can come and maybe do presentations to your advisory councils, maybe get the advisory councils that you sit on to use their influence in the community to reach out to other programs besides IHSS and to build sort of mini HHS networks in all the regions. We have them in the Bay Area and LA, pretty strong budget coalitions, and I think the Chico folks also built a really strong coalition across different groups. But I know we've got a ton of folks in Fresno and Bakersfield, and you know, there are, any place there's a media market, San Diego, Inland Empire, we'd like to work with you. We'd like to come down and do meetings and presentations and town halls and get the folks who care about child care and the folks who care about children's programs and the folks who care about senior programs to come and start planning with you so that we're ready to really roll and express a message that gets to our basic philosophical message that the public sector has a role to play, that health and human services have a role to play, and that this is not about us fighting each other. This is about us creating the California that we all want to live in. So I want to stop there and see if there are any questions or comments.
Hi, Thank you for being here and for your presentation. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that no tax pledge and let folks know just how pernicious it is. You may have heard of Grover Norquist and Americans for Tax Reform. Those are the people that do it. You can go on their website, the Americans for Tax Reform website, and you can see every legislator or every government official in every state in the nation who signed the no tax pledge. Last time I checked, every single Republican legislator in California, with one exception, Roger Nilo, had signed the no tax pledge. Now here's something that's very interesting. If you want to be a Republican candidate for office, you know, they talk about bipartisan things and so on. If you want to be a Republican candidate for office, you will not get any Republican Party support unless you sign the no tax pledge before you go to Sacramento. That's how pernicious it is. It's very, very powerful. That's how you have control of by a tiny minority. The reason that the corporate tax breaks got given was because that was the price to get some Republican votes to pass the budget.
Thank you for that. I do want to give a shout out, though, to there are Republicans in the legislature and many in the grassroots who do not agree with the no tax agenda. And I think we really are starting to see, I don't know if we're starting to see a split in the party. It's a very disciplined party. But I do want to say Anthony Adams of San Bernardino, Ashburn from Bakersfield, Valines and Cogdill from Fresno, there are Republican legislators who, because we kept going in and talking to them about this, their staff would say to us, we get it. We get it. Not about every program. It tended to be about a particular program. It tended to be about IHSS was one that they really got. Medi-Cal, the proposal to eliminate, you know, the optional benefits and cut down on prescription drugs and doctor visits, they got that. And I have found that if you are in an area that has a lot of Republican voters, it is really worth working with those people because a lot of Republicans at the grassroots do not agree with this hardline stuff, and it takes time, it takes cultivation. They tend to be very shy about coming to our coalition meetings, but in San Luis Obispo recently, when our budget coalition went in to meet with Sam Blakesley, their Republican legislator, I asked everybody, look to your board, look to your board. Nonprofit boards have Republicans who believe in the mission of whatever that nonprofit does, and they will go to a private meeting. They may not speak at a press conference, but they will go to a private meeting with a Republican legislator and they will say, I really don't think this makes sense. And this Republican who came with us, he was the president of the local Lincoln Club, which is a local Republican Party club. And he sat there with us in the meeting and said to Blakesley's staff, you know, it really doesn't make sense to say we're probably gonna have to raise taxes to fix this problem. That is gold. And so it is important to not marginalize your Republicans at the grassroots. It's actually really important to look to places to find Republicans who get it and who care. The boards of nonprofits that provide services, school boards, those are two of the best places. And the things to ask them to do are write a letter to the Republican legislator and share a copy with you. And that letter can be really powerful. Ask them to come to a meeting and just make them feel safe and respect what they're doing for you, because it's really important.
Hello, Jessica Janie Whiteford here. Hi. Thanks so much for your message. It's absolutely powerful. And I think that we were making some pretty good headroads with our legislators, that we've been there, we're talking to them, and I just want to encourage folks to do that at their local level. A lot of folks can't travel up to Sacramento, but it's just as powerful to do it at your home base too. So please with your advisory committees, make those visits to your local legislators. I have a concern with how effective we can be with the media. I think that this is an area that we really, really need to be pounding at, and I don't quite know how to do that. Can you talk a little bit about the local media and trying to get our message through to them so that they cover our issues?
Yeah. Well, there are two basic ways that groups like ours, I mean, we don't have the money to do fancy stuff, right? So there's 2 or 3 basic things that you can do to get media, and they all work. And the one is what we all know. I mean, you can call a press conference, and if your press conference is timely, like if you call a press conference on January 10th when the budget gets released, and it's got all the folks who have programs that would be cut under that budget, that will get coverage. But the piece, oh, and the other thing you can do is do what Jessica Lehman is so good at, which is organize hundreds of people to, do like blockade a legislator's office, and the media love that. They love conflict. But there's something that's much easier that we can all do that none of us do as much as we should, and it's feeding individual stories to reporters locally, and it's the easiest thing in the world to do. All you need is a phone or an email, and all you need is to pay attention to, in your local paper, you'll start to see, I mean, how many people here read the local paper? Right? So you notice that there's a reporter that you end up reading all the time because he covers the stuff you care about. In the Oakland Tribune, it's this great reporter called Mathai who does stuff. In the San Francisco Chronicle, Victoria Colliver always covers healthcare. So once you get that name, and they always give you their email address at the bottom of their stories. So then you just have to get stuff to feed them, and as members of advisory councils, you've got that stuff, right? Because you know who the consumers are, and you know the consumer stories. So all you really need to do is send an email to the reporter that you identify. So actually, let's make this an assignment between now and next year's conference. Cindy, let's make this an assignment, and we can check back in a year. So everybody in the room, pick a reporter in your local paper and promise yourself to send an email to that reporter and just introduce yourself. I'm a member of my local advisory council. I know people who have stories about IHSS and Medi-Cal. If you ever need a story of somebody local who'd be affected by the budget cuts or be affected by changes or cuts to IHSS, let me know. I can hook you up. And if you do that, you would be surprised. The reporters love that. And most of them are really nice people because it's their job to be good at talking to people. And then the second thing you can do is, if you ever know somebody, meet somebody that you think, oh my God, that is such an amazing story. That person is such a hero. Or that is so unfair, what is happening to that person. Send an email to your reporter. Hi, Mathai, remember me? I just talked to somebody and I really think you'd be interested in talking to her. And you don't give the person's name. The person's name is your power. They have to go through you, right? So, use the person's first name, right? So I met this woman named Janie, and she's got this amazing story, and I think you'd really like to talk to her and give him like one sentence, the teaser, right? Janie was making $200,000 a year as a mortgage broker, and then, something happened. Now she's on SSI. She'd love to talk to you. Let me know if you want to talk to her. And then Mathai emails you, oh God, yes, I'd love to. And timing. Maybe he's not doing anything on IHSS, but you can bet he's got a little file. He files that away, and he will come back to you. So that is something that we all need to do more of. And it doesn't matter how small your local paper is. Actually, some of the smaller papers are better at it. And also, reporters do what legislators do. They move up the chain. So if you've got a reporter in some little tiny local paper, the Hayward Argus, well, she might be the health reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle next year, and she'll remember you. Oh, and I just want to add something about legislative visits. like media, we often make legislative visits more complicated than they need to be. So we think of legislative visits as you make an appointment,